Hi everybody. In today's class we will be learning further Excel formula and functions and other important techniques that are very much useful and becomes very critically important and also makes you unique and special at the workplace or even at your company or your business centers, anywhere for that matter you can opt for. So having mentioned that, today we will start off by learning how to dynamically create an application where the information that you feed in gets updated dynamically. So you have a table here. Now this is actually an application, a mini application developed for students in a class. You can clearly see there are two students. Now this is just an illustration. Usually if you are going to be creating an application where you need to perform a data analysis, the number of students may be in hundreds or even in thousands. So you may not even be aware of it. Now, what is the requirement to dynamically update this particular table? Let me just give you an illustration. Now, I'm going to add in, say, student 3, and I'm going to say the following information for the student. So I'm going to start with Tom Tau, and the marks are 83, 88, 87, 86 and 84. Right now you can clearly see there when the information goes to the score, there isn't any update at all. So I will have to go over here and pull and drag it. Now for people who are not aware of this, now clearly you can see this is the formula. You can see that the formula is a little bit complicated for normal users because the score is not just simply calculated by adding up all the information or the data that is found here, because 30% is taken from math scores, 20% is taken from Python scores, just mere 10%, if you can see that, only 10% is taken from Java, and 20% again from C++, and 20% is from algorithm. So this is the way in which the weightage is distributed. So the point I wish to bring to your precious observation is that many times the formula that is utilized in calculating scores like this would highly be complicated, and if the user is not aware how exactly the table ought to be updated, then it becomes a daunting task. Most of the time people will go over here and pull it down, and so you get the score there, 85.2. But if you are dealing with large values or large data sets, the probability of creating or committing an error becomes more. So in this case, what am I supposed to do? Now let me just give the border for this. I want the information to be automatically, or I should say dynamically updated. So for that, what you need to do is go over here and highlight this, highlight the entire table. After you highlighted it, press Ctrl T. The moment you press Ctrl T, you will get this information, and this is very critical. My table has headers. Ensure that this is actually tick marked. Now then you press OK. Now the moment you press OK, you will get certain designs. Now it is up to you which designs you wish to follow. I would opt for this design. It isn't necessary, but it's purely at your discretion. Now after that, I'm going to place in the information for the fourth student. So I'm going to say 4 and then press tab. After you have pressed tab, you will actually get the entire cells highlighted in this fashion. So I would start off by entering the name. So let me say Candy, and the surname is say Song, and scores in math, say 78, give a tab. Python 79, tab. Java 80, tab. C 85, tab. And algorithm 80, tab. Now clearly you can see how dynamically the information is updated. You see that the score is 80, and then you can simply come out of it and still the table remains there. And if you want to enter the fifth person, you can enter fifth student's name. Say you say 5, and then you press tab, you can enter say David, and then math scores say 88, 80, Java 76, C++ 86, data structures, or I should say algorithm 80. So clearly you can see the update is dynamically taking place. So this is the beauty of this particular Excel application, or I would say Excel technique, which I've just shown you, and we will further move on to learn the next one. Now students, we will head on to see the next Excel formula and functions. Now imagine you would like to have a rank featured here. So how would that be possible? How is it that we would be able to place in the ranking? So I want to have a ranking system where the scores are taken into account and then they are ranked. So for that, let me start with the rank heading. Then you press tab. Immediately, as I mentioned to you, because of the previous function which we have implemented, you will get this beautiful formatted column for rank. Now just go here, place an equal to, and enter rank, open the parenthesis, and then since you are looking at ranking the scores, just go to this first cell and click on it. Then the all important comma comes. You've got to place a comma, otherwise this would not work. After which again you click on this first cell, press the shift key and pull it down all the way to the end. Then you place a parenthesis like that. So this is the formula that you need to place for ranking. So let me press enter. You can clearly see that I've got 2, 4, 1. So 85.2 is the rank number 1 holder. So that is this person, Tom. And rank number 2 is Kevin Chang, and so on and so forth it goes. So this is a beautiful way by which we can implement this functionality. This is the next Excel formula and function, students, which we will have to focus on. Now clearly you can see on the Excel sheet, we got serial number, products, quantity, unit price, amount. We got products list as apples, oranges, pears and kiwis. And the order that has been placed is 200 kg, 150 kg, 220 kg and 50 kg. The unit price per kg is 150 RMB, 200 RMB, 130 RMB and 80 RMB. Now we need to know the amount. Now most times it is imperative that these units are being placed, because whenever the applications are being purchased by the vendor, or I should say by the client, say in this case the client is a fruit seller, they would want to see that particular unit being featured, right? In spite of that unit being featured, yet still they would like to know the amount that is actually being received. So in this case, the seller wants to know for 200 kg how much of cash was received. So we need to know that, right? It is also important to understand that not everybody can outrightly from their brain make the calculations. So in this case 200 times 150, for a few of them it's easy, but many of the sellers, they already have a lot of things to focus on. So why would they want their valuable energy to be invested in performing this calculation? And that's the reason they buy these packages, right? The Excel applications and things like that. Now if you were to design this in this fashion, say this is equal to, you open a parenthesis and you place in the unit price, that has to be multiplied by the quantity. So this is 200 kg, and obviously you are expecting a value, but that is not going to take place here. Now the moment you type enter, there is an error there. Do you know why there is an error? Just observe this column. All the information that you are fed in is placed on the left hand side. Now this is an indicator. Now on this side, all the information that you have placed here is placed on the right hand side. So this is also another indicator. According to Excel, all text information will be left towards the left, and all numeric information whatever data that you are entering will be towards the right. So clearly you can see this is basically holding on to the right end of the column. In this case, it is holding on to the left end of the column. So that means you're multiplying a text with a numeric quantity and you're expecting a numeric result, which is not going to be happening. That's not possible. You cannot multiply text, say for example, apples. That is a text. You can clearly see it, but 200 kg, you might be thinking it's a numeric value, but Excel still takes it as a text. So what is the solution for this? Now the solution here is beautifully given. So this is a beautiful Excel formula and function that you can use. What you need to do is go to this column and get rid of all this. Get rid of all this information. So now you go to this particular cell, click on the cell and press Control 1. The moment you press Control 1, you will get this dialog box. In this dialog box, go to Customs, click on Customs, and you will see another dialog box being popped, and where you will see the term General. Now go there, clear General, and place the pound sign or the hash symbol. Now after you have placed the hash symbol, open a quote, open a double quote and give kg, and then you close the double quote and then you say OK. I hope you're watching this. Place the channel symbol and then open a double quote and place kg and close the double quote and say OK. And then you go back here and then you pull it. So now the entire cell is being formatted. Of course, the border line is missing. You can place the border. So now we placed 200 kg, right? So you just place 200 there and then you press tab. See, you can clearly see automatically kg comes there. And then you place enter the information for oranges. It's 150. Press tab, you get 150 kg. And then for pears, you press 220. Enter 220 and press tab. Clearly you can see that the kg gets featured. And kiwis, say 40 kg, just press tab. The information comes there. Now for the amount, you can just start with the equal to sign, open a parenthesis, click in the unit price, place the product symbol, and then come back to the quantity, click on it, close the parenthesis and click enter. Now you can clearly see the information being presented as a numeric quantity. So this is 30,000. Now all you need to do is just pull it down. That's it, story finished, right? So this is beautifully placed. Now you can do the same thing for the currencies, right? Say this is, say for example, you want to have the unit of currency being placed here, say 150 RMB, say 200 RMB, 130 RMB, and then 80 RMB. Now this could be easily achieved. Just go over here and clear it, right? And go to this cell, press Control 1, and then you will get this dialog box. Go to Custom, then you will see this dialog box. Remove General, place a pound sign, open a double quote, and then you say RMB and close the double quote. And then you say OK. So now you go up to the cell and pull the entire cell down, so the format is basically extended to all of these cells. Now go to the first cell. Of course, if you want the border, just click on that. Border will be there. Now I said this is 200 kg of apples, say 150, right? 150. Just enter 150 and press tab. You see that RMB is there, and oranges 200, unit price is 200 RMB per kg. Just enter 200 and press tab. So that also gets 30,000. And for peers, say 180, right? 180, just enter 180 and press tab. So you'll get the unit there. You see that? That's the unit. And then for kiwis, say 60 RMB per kg. Enter 60 and press tab, so you can get that value there. So this is a beautiful application, and we will move on to the next one. Now the next which we are going to be seeing is a very important Excel functionality. Now clearly you can see that we got a product list, we got a client who is buying the product and the quantity that the product is being purchased, and we got the unit price, right? So the products are keyboard, mouse, keyboard, USB, keyboard, mouse, keyboard, USB. So these are the products that have been sold by a certain business house, and these are the clients for the business house. Now, usually, if we were to calculate, or the business house wants to know the amount that's been received by selling keyboard, what they would do is they will place an equal to. When I say they, it means the professionals who are handling the application. So it's going to be the unit price multiplied by the quantity sold. So 120 keyboards have been sold. So you place a parenthesis there and you click enter. So this is the amount that's been collected. 20 US dollars, right? So you can probably say unit price, and then you can place a dollar sign, right? So 20 US dollars for a keyboard, and this much amount is being collected by the business house. Now you go and pull it down, you get the entire table being filled. So this is for a period of, say, 20 days, and the owner of the business house would like to know the total. So how much of money is being collected over the period of 20 days. So what he or she would do, they will say equal to, place a sum, open the parenthesis, go to the first cell, come back here all the way down, close the parenthesis, click enter. So this is the amount that they have got. So let me just fill it up with a color and probably do some formatting, and that looks fine. So this is the total sales, right? Now next comes is quantity. So let me just place quantity, the quantity of products, quantity of the items, you can name it whatever you want, and I wish to get the sum of them. So is equal to sum, so that I know how much of items have left the store. When I say high, it means the business individual or the business enterprise. So you close the parenthesis, you give enter. So 1030 products have left the store for that period that this data set is being evaluated, or that this data set is being accounted for, right? Now let me just fill this up with a different color, a light color, and probably give some formatting. Okay, quantity is so much and the total is so much. In fact, I will also do likewise. Quantity. Okay, so this is the value that we have got, and the all important question is, I would like to know how many keyboards left the store, right? And because of that sales, how much of revenue the store received. Imagine that is the quest for the business enterprise or for the business owner. He wants to know how many keyboards his shop sold and how much of revenue the keyboard brought in. So usually what they would do, the application manager or the person who's designing the application, they will highlight it. They will probably go to data and they click on the filter. So now you got the filter. So now products, you can go to the products and you can deselect everything. Just ensure keyboard is selected and you press OK. Now you can clearly see Flamingo purchased keyboard 120 keyboards, then Huawei purchased 200 keyboards, Flamingo again purchased 100 keyboards, Huawei again purchased 120 keyboards, and the unit price is listed here, and the total that is being displayed is not the total that the keyboards brought in, right? And similarly, the quantity of items that left the store. So clearly you can see this is the quantity that represents a keyboard, but this is nowhere indicated here. So in other words, the package that is utilized by the client is not dynamically giving him the values that is supposed to be given. In other words, he or she is not able to see what ought to be seen. I would like to know how many keyboards got sold and how much revenue keyboards brought into the store. And that would give me a better picture to stock up, right? If an item is basically moving faster, the store owner should purchase that item and stock up the store in large numbers, because that is the item that is bringing in the customers, right? If the USB is bringing in more customer, your duty is, as a business owner, you need to purchase more USBs. But that information can only be only be given or presented based on the updates produced by the application. In this case, nothing is being produced. So we need to produce that. So let me give Control Z and go back here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to delete this. I'm going to delete this entire set. So go to Home and you clear it off. So now go back here and then you press Total, right? And then you go to the exact amount where you are accumulating plus equal to, and enter the term subtotal. Open a parenthesis. When you open a parenthesis, you will be displayed a dialog box where you have a list of elements. Now go and choose sum there. Double click sum, you will get the number 9. Either you can enter the number 9 directly or just click on the sum. And then you place comma and then you go over here and you highlight the entire set of data that you see. Close the parenthesis, click enter, and you will get the value here. Then you go up over here, probably you can give some highlighting or some formatting, and then so that it's more appearable. And over here you can increase the font size. That's fine. Now come to the quantity, enter quantity. Okay, quantity, and this is equal to enter subtotal. The moment you enter subtotal, you get that subtotal, and you double click on it, you will get a list of choices that you can make. Go and choose 9, double click on 9, and then you place a comma, right? And then you go to quantity and click on the first cell and then highlight the entire cell and close the parenthesis and you click enter, and then you give some formatting. Go up over here, probably you change the color, the font, and then you center it and you got it. Okay, that's fine, but we haven't yet tested the information. Now, as you all have seen, I've shown you how to apply filter. We have already applied a filter. Now all it comes is making the choice. So I'm going up over here and I'm deselecting all of this. Okay, so I can't go to the client. I don't want to go to the client. I have to go to the keyboard, the products. So I'm going over here. I'm deselecting all these except for keyboard. I'm just keeping keyboard alive. And now this information should change. The total quantity should represent the quantity of keyboards that were sold by the shop, and this total should indicate the amount received because of this sale. So let me give OK. Now you see that? That's lovely. Let me just check it out. 2 plus 2, 4, and 1 plus 1, 2. Added with 2, 4. Added with 1 gives 540 keyboards were sold, and they brought in a total. Let me take the total 8, and 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 4, 8, 8 added with 2 is 10. So $10,800 US were received. Now let me go back again and check for USB. Okay, I click on USB, I uncheck the keyboard. So now I want to know how many USBs the shop sold. Okay, 250 USBs were sold, and they were bought by the company called Oppo, and this is the amount I received. So clearly you can see we are getting a better picture of the way in which the store is performing, right? So mouse, just click on mouse, you uncheck the USB and you click OK. So now you can clearly see higher is a company that is buying mouse. 240 mouses were purchased, and they brought in a total of 3,600. So now you know the purchasing frequency of the client, and not only that, the products that they are purchasing. So in that case, what you can do is you can specifically target these clients with those products. Say, suppose you have a new product coming into your company. You don't have to inform all your clients about this new product, right? Suppose you got a mouse that is coming in. You can clearly see from your application which company is buying mouses, right? And so you can just go and give this information to this particular client. So this is what is called as target marketing, right? So you're marketing your product to the specific target which is being given to you by your own data. Isn't it precious? So this application and this functionality that we have learned from Excel will do a lot of wonders. So I have mentioned that. Let me move on to the next one. In the last section, we were looking up to this all important functionality of how exactly we can get the total and the quantity of the required products, and I have placed a filter and explained to you if in case you would like to know the number of keyboards that were sold over a 16-day period, then you could very well make the choice and that information will appear. And the same goes for other products. Now it is imperative to observe here that the action that we're performing is just sum, right? We are only adding up the information. Now what if you would like to know on an average how much or how many of these products have been sold over the time period? Say in this case I've incremented this data set from the last data set I've shown here. I've given you a 16-day time period here. So if you would like to know on an average how many of these products have been sold over this period, I would like to know that, right? And count. This is the next functionality, count, and this would give me how many clients are actually buying the product over the 16-day period. Or in fact, for that matter, I've got two or three clients, say Huawei, Oppo and HTML Wave. Now I would like to know how many times these clients are coming back to my shop over the 16-day period. Like Huawei may come twice or HTML Wave might come 3 times. I would like to know that count. So that is an important information. And the next thing is on a max, or I should say, I would like to know the maximum sales of that item, right? Say for example, if on one particular day, say 500 USBs are being sold. So I would literally like to know that particular count, because once the stocks are done from the shop, I need to replenish them, right? So I would like to know on a maximum scale how many of these products have been sold. That is also a critical information that we need to look at. And the minimum, this is also an information that can be extracted that would really give an added bonus to strategizing the sales in the shop. And the sum, as I mentioned to you, we have already got that sum, right, using subtotal, but this is also an added feature. So this would make this entire data set a complete application for the user. So what I wish to do in this case, I would like to remove this off and I would like to bring in all these functionalities, right? Average, count, max, min and sum. Now you might be asking me, where did I get these values for these 1, 2, 3, 4? Now when I entered subtotal, let me just enter subtotal here and show it to you. This is equal to subtotal. Now you can clearly see average is given as numeral 1, count is numeric number, numeric quantity 2, max is 4, min is 5, sum is 9. So these are all the standards established by Excel. It's not that I'm giving all this information or all these numbers out of my mind. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just utilizing the predefined functionalities with their numbers that Excel has already got. So having mentioned that, first and foremost thing that we need to do is to have a heading. I would say here operations, and then the moment the user comes here, he should be in a position to choose the list. So the list that I'm trying to embed here are actually visible here. I want average, count, max, min and sum to be featured here. So how am I going to do that? Just click on this particular cell, go to data. In data, look for data validation. So click on data validation. Now after you have clicked on that downward arrow, you will get a list of choices and go and pick data validation as the first choice. You will get a dialog box. In the dialog box, look for the item list. So click on list and then you will be prompted. you will be asked to locate the presence of that information or the presence of the list. So I want the list to be featuring from average to sum, and then after making the selection, click enter. So it will ask you, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. So that gives an OK. The moment you give an OK, you will get this small cell with a drop down menu. So that is how you actually develop or create the list. Now after you have created the list, you will have to bring in these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, whatever be the numbers that you have actually included here. For that, we need to make use of a new functionality which is called as VLOOKUP. Now let me make the choice say as max, okay, and then I'm going to the cell, I'm placing it equal to, and then I'm including the functionality called as VLOOKUP. Now what does this VLOOKUP actually does? Now the purpose of this function, it's a predefined function, it's built within Excel. Now this will go up and look for that particular data element which you wanted Excel to look up for. That's the reason we have this name as lookup. So let me reiterate one more time. If you want a particular data element to be searched, this is actually a mini search engine. This will search for that particular data item that is being present anywhere in the table, and it will extract that information, and of course that information can be used to perform various manipulations or various calculations that we would want to. Now in this case, what I want to do is I want Excel to look up for this particular element, right, this particular data element, and where is this element ought to be found. You place a comma and give the presence of that element or wherever that element is supposed to be found. So I clearly know that this element is found over here, so just highlight that. So this is the way you highlight it, and after you have highlighted it, you place a comma. So when you place a comma, it means you're moving up level 2 or the next level. Now what you have to do, or what you want Excel to do after you have located this particular data element called max, I literally want to actually get this value that is placed adjoining max. In fact, if I were to look up for count, I want Excel to locate this particular value too from the table. I want that value to be snatched by Excel. In fact, if sum is the data element that I'm looking for using VLOOKUP, then I want VLOOKUP to snatch this quantity 9, right, that is adjoining this operation or this particular data element sum. Now for that to happen, clearly you can see that we got two columns. You got a column 1 and column 2 that is actually present in column 2. So place column 2. After that you place a comma. Now it clearly says approximate match or exact match. Just place 0 there, and then you close the parenthesis and click enter. Now when you click enter, whatever value that is adjoining the operation max or the data element max would be flashed on that cell. So let me give you that enter, and clearly you can see max has got the element 4, and that is basically placed. Now what are we going to do with the element 4? As I mentioned to you, we are actually trying to obtain the maximum entry present in a particular column. Now for that to happen, just double click on this particular cell, go up to VLOOK and include the keyword called subtotal, and then you open up a parenthesis. You don't have to choose any numbers or anything like that, because the operation displays a certain set of numbers. You don't have to do that. Just go all the way to the end, you place a comma, and then make the choice of the column that you are interested in performing this operation, max. In fact, in this particular case, this is the column that I would like the operation to be performed. I would want to get the maximum value of the products, the minimum value of the products, the average products that have been sold, as well as the number of clients, the counts also for this particular column. So I'm going and selecting the first cell, press and hold the shift and go all the way to the end, and then you close the parenthesis and you click enter. Now watch here. This will give us the maximum value that is located in this particular column. So the moment I click enter, you can see the maximum value. Where is the maximum value occurring? Actually 600 is the maximum value that is present in that particular column. So when I give enter, that 600 would be flashed. You see that? That is how the VLOOKUP operates. But in this case, the best way to appreciate this is through the filter. So I'm going up to the filter and I am clicking this off. I want only the keyboard. I would like to know the maximum number of keyboards that were actually sold from my shop over that period. So I click OK. So clearly you can see 439 happened to be the maximum value, or I should say the maximum number of keyboards that were sold. Now clearly Go Waters purchased that maximum value. So now I know Go Waters is an influential or client, or I would say that I should ensure that they are satisfied with my shop's performance, because they seem to be bringing in $8,780 at one go to my shop. So I would make every attempt to keep them happy. Now, having given this max, let me check out the minimum number of keyboards that were sold over the given period. I click minimum and you say 90 keyboards. Clearly you can see 90 keyboards were purchased by Juventus. So this gives me an idea about the clients that are actually actually purchasing minimum numbers, right? So there's no harm in purchasing minimum numbers, but just that we know that these people are purchasing minimum numbers in case of any issues or disputes. We don't need to go overboard to keep them happy, right? Because they're only getting 90. If in case there is an issue for Go Waters, the company, the shop should go that extra mile in making sure that Go Waters are happy because they're purchasing 439, right? So this gives us certain information of the clients that are coming to the shop. Now let me just tell you the count, what exactly the count does. So this, when you say count, you see that 1, 2, 3, and then 6, 7, 8. So these are the clients that have actually purchased and the number of times they have purchased. So clearly you can see Huawei has purchased the keyboard twice. So twice they have come over the 16-day period to get the keyboard. In fact, they have purchased it thrice. So if you were to find out the number 200 and 120, and that's going to be 320, 320, 390, 490. So they are the top clients for the shop, right? Huawei and Go Waters, they seem to have bought the keyboard in more number of times. So that is what count gives. Now if you want to know the sum, the total number of keyboards that were sold by the shop, just click that and this shows 1539. So this is the inference that you're getting. So it means that the keyboards in the shop, suppose you have a shop count of say 2000, 1539 have already gone. So that means you have to make sure that the keyboards are restocked. So you need to file in the invoice to get more keyboards. So this is the information that you've got. Now this is for the products, right? Now if you want to know the total amount that the products are brought in, so in this case you can just add one more information, revenue, and then they can make the selections. So you can give in a little bit further information. Okay, operation to calculate the revenue. So operation, or I'll just say OPERA, operate, to get the revenue, right? So that is the information. So again, the person has to make the choices. So probably you can reduce the font to bring it in a single cell. It's up to you, and then make it blocked, or even and give a shade. Probably you can change it to something more Colorful. Okay, so this is going to give us the revenue. So in this case, as I mentioned to you, we need to bring in the list, and that list has to feature all the informations that we have. So for that, we need to go back and click all the products, right? So that we are able to see all this list that we have got. So what I'm going to do is you can either create a new list of operations, or you can actually use this. So in this case, I would like to create a list. So average, count, minimum, sum. Let me just do that. So I'm going over here, going to data, and then I will pick on the data validation. I will click on data, and then over here I'll pick on the list, and in this list I will choose everything from average to sum, right? Everything from average to sum, and I will say OK. So that is featured there. So let me just click on average, and then come over here, give an equal to sign, and VLOOKUP. As I mentioned to you, this is a powerful built-in function. And then you open the parenthesis. So what are you trying to look up? I'm trying to look up for average. You place a comma. Now after you place the comma, you will have to go and select this particular table. Place a comma and press 2 because it's available in second column. Place a comma, enter 0 for the choice, close the parenthesis and give enter. So clearly you can see average is 1, and this is how you check. Count is 2, it's dynamically working. Max is 4, that's fine. Everything is fine. So now you go up over here, you enter subtotal, right? You enter subtotal, double click on this. You don't have to change anything, or I would say you don't have to make a choice of any numbers. Just place comma here. You're looking for the sales, right? So you place a comma there, and go up over here, click on the amount, and you pull it down all the way to the last element, and you place a comma and give enter. So clearly this is the maximum sales that has occurred, right? Excuse me. So now I'm going to perform the filter. So I want to know the keyboard's performance. So in this case, I would like to know the sum. Okay, so this is the sum. So totally 1,539 keyboards were sold, and on I shouldn't use the word average, and the maximum sales occurred through Go Waters, as you have already known. I've already mentioned. So that's the maximum sales, but I don't want to know the maximum sales. I want to know the sum, how much of money the keyboards have brought in. So clearly you can see $30,780 were brought in by keyboards, right? So keyboards, from here you know that they are a hot selling item, and you know how to handle it. So this is a beautiful way by which you can make the entire data set mini applications, right? That's a powerful aspect of it. So having mentioned this, we will wrap up for today's class, students. We will look up, or I should say we will meet again for next set of Excel functions and functionalities and formulae. So in the next class we will practice more of these and become a pro in handling Excel. Thank you.